Professor Radhakrishna and distinguished participants in the conference. The acceptance of the idea of inclusive growth among policymakers in India, notably after 2004, owes to the experience of the post-reform period when poverty reduction was slower than expected and economic inequalities increased significantly with various deprivations like undernutrition, lack of adequate health care and education coming to the fore. But there is little clarity among many on the concept of inclusive growth. Very often it is loosely identified with welfare schemes like employment guarantee and public distribution of food grains, which do not by themselves make for inclusive growth. After all, several such programs have been there in India throughout the planning era to mitigate the distress caused to the weaker sections of society. To my mind, economists have yet to formulate a cogent theory of inclusive growth and work out alternative models of achieving such a growth, where equity and social justice are built into the growth process itself as distinct from measures for social welfare which are a necessary consequence of the failure to achieve inclusive growth. The 12th five-year plan came out with a blueprint of inclusive growth. It rightly defines inclusive growth as a growth process that is broad-based or in which wider sections of population, especially those marginalized and hitherto excluded, participate. Inclusive growth, so defined, implies, among other things, stepping up GDP growth rate in the slow growing or less developed regions through the development of necessary physical and social infrastructure, greater priority to agriculture, which contributes to food security and provides livelihood for nearly half the labor force in the country at present, and high priority to rural non-farm sector and manufacturing so as to generate greater employment opportunities and ensure rise in wages. It is understood that setting sectoral priorities right is not sufficient for achieving inclusive growth. Marginalized groups can avail the opportunities for setting up enterprises and securing jobs in these sectors only when they have access to the resources like land and capital, education and skills without being subjected to various forms of discrimination. The incidence of poverty has been most pronounced among SCs, STs and Muslims. According to the India Human Development Report 2011, the SCs, STs and Muslims suffer the most on account of poor health status. The most striking shortcoming of our public health system has been the failure to reach out to the bottom of the pyramid, to 300 million people who are often excluded. The problem of illiteracy in both rural and urban areas has been most pronounced among SCs, STs and Muslims, and relatively more pronounced among females. The report points out that the combination of low public expenditure on both health and education has been serious, long-lasting adverse consequences for India's human development levels, and suggests that establishing publicly funded educational institutions alone can ensure greater participation from among the educationally disadvantaged communities. Feminization of agriculture is largely a consequence of male labor in the household taking up non-farm work. Management of farms by women may become widespread among marginal, small and medium farms in course of time with the male labours of households increasingly taking up non-farm work. Management of farms by women should be regarded as an opportunity as well as a challenge. Opportunity because it enables empowerment of farm women who have greater familiarity with enterprises like dairying and horticulture, which are going to be the major sources of farm income. Challenge because women lack property rights in land, farming becomes an additional responsibility for them. Apart from household work, their low literacy level and lack of experience in dealing with agricultural support systems, including extension services, which are male dominated. Of late, there are certain encouraging developments in regard to social inclusion. According to the Human Development Report 2011, SCs, STs and Muslims have been converging towards the national average in terms of literacy rate. Health indicators for these marginalized groups are also converging with the national average, although in absolute terms the overall situation continues to be worrisome. Over the same period, that is between 2004-05 and 2009-10, the unemployment rate among the workers belonging to these three groups declined in both rural and urban areas. Poverty has declined for these groups at an accelerated rate between 2004-05 and 2009-10, which is higher than the overall or average annual rate of decline. These encouraging developments should not come as a surprise. The year 2004 was a watershed after 15 years of economic reforms, when the government at the center made an explicit commitment for the first time to implementing economic reforms with human face. With respect to feminization of agriculture in the country, a silver lining is that apart from their familiarity with and expertise in managing certain farm enterprises, women farmers have been performing extremely well when adequately empowered, as exemplified by the work of women's self-help groups. This experiment needs to be extended for the provision of various services, including marketing, by organizing small and marginal farmers into groups. Since feminization of agriculture is a major challenge, it calls for strong policy initiatives right from the national level for dealing with issues such as strengthening land inheritance rights for women, endowment of property rights on houses built with public assistance, improving literacy level and awareness among women farmers, measures to lighten the burden of their household work, and sensitizing the agricultural support systems, including credit institutions, about the needs of women farmers, and in particular including women functionaries in large numbers in agricultural extension systems to assist women farmers. The observations on governance in the 12th plan document are worth mentioning, as they are based on an in-depth analysis of past performance. I quote here, "The experience with plan programs has clearly established the central role of a socially mobilized and aware community as a decisive determinant of success. The states that have emphasized the role played by social mobilization and have made specific financial and human resource provisions have invariably succeeded. It is the participation of users in planning, implementation and social audit of these programs that has proved critical to their success." Unquote. The basic issue is a political one of ensuring much quicker response of our democratic system to the needs and aspirations of the poorer and the marginalized sections of society. The shift in policy towards economic reforms with human face and strategy of inclusive growth adopted in the 11th and 12th plans did represent the response of our democratic system to the growing discontent among the poorer sections, but the pace of change has been too slow, halting, and even retrogressive sometimes because of the resistance from the Western interests. Thank you.